Mark took my He recycled.
Throw it away.
He recycled. He recycled. He's the plastic recycler. That's what he does.
Hey, Bill. How are you?
Good evening. This is the Tuesday, October 15th meeting of the Union County Land Use Board. I'd ask everyone to please stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You remain standing. Mr. Edwards is going to lead us in prayer.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to help serve our community. Lord, please give us wisdom and guidance to make the best decisions to affect our community. Dear Lord, please be with those that are affected by the hurricane. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Thanks, sir.
All right, our first order here is to establish voting members, and all 7 of our regular members are present, so they will be the voting members. Also have our 2 alternates present. They will interact, but they will not be voting. Additions or deletions to the agenda, do we have any? Anyone? Hearing any? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next item is approval of the minutes of the September 17th meeting. Everyone had an opportunity to look at those. If not, please look at them quickly, and I'll entertain a motion. Motion to accept?
Yeah, I second that motion, but we need to change the date at the top.
March 19th, 2024.
Oh, goodness, so sorry. Look,
That's all right. That's a good catch. Very good catch. I was reading the guts, not looking at that. It's kind of up there. All right, so amended with the date correct. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, first item tonight is a conditional rezoning petition, 2024-CZ-004. Mr. Hanson, if you could come and talk to us about this, sir.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Land Use Board. I'm presenting a conditional rezoning case, 2024-CZ-004 Stevens. In keeping with the trend of typos, you'll note in the agenda, Stevens is spelled P-H-E-N, so
It's not.
why is it showing up on the agenda packet? I guess.
Well,
because
see,
I did.
Oh, you did that? Okay. I sorry, Amy. I was trying to take one to help you out.
I'm sorry.
We'll move along. This is a conditional rezoning request. There's a lot of words here because there's a lot of requested actions in terms of the property lines and the uses. The bottom line is there's a business that's on there that doesn't comply with the zoning district that would be appropriate for it. The boundary to encompass that district means that the property lines need to move around a little bit, and that's affecting several parcels adjacent to it. And so this is just describing it, the transactions of pieces of land back and forth, similar to the ones you had on 601 South last month. But compared to that one, which is a business that already had the industrial zoning and a little bit of leakage, this has no light industrial, it's all RA 40. So the conditions associated with this are the site plan that I'll go to on the next slide, that it'll bring all buildings into compliance with building code zoning and environmental health requirements, vesting of the development rights, and that after, if this is approved, that once implemented, it'll meet all requirements of the UDO. So this is the site plan. It's on New Salem Road. The new water treatment plant is just to the east a little bit. You have existing homes on the site, 1, 2, 3, and then you have, although this one, and then the fourth one over here, but they're not a part of the rezoning. So you have a a septic business in the back. And it's been in operation for a while, but it's recently expanded. And so this proposed rezoning would encompass all of the uses on the site. You have cleared areas that you'll see in the aerials, as well as a small area here that would be for future expansion. It could be for storage or constructing a building similar size to the one that's right here. And the other uses for the residential here, here, and here would remain the same, but the boundaries would be adjusted slightly. So existing conditions, you can see the cleared portions of the land. This is the entrance from New Salem Road. Looking west on New Salem Road, up here at the top of the hill is the intersection. And then looking east on New Salem Road towards the water treatment plant. So rural area, large lot residential. In terms of the development status around it's essentially agriculture or forested. You do have the homes that are on there. What differentiates developed from underdeveloped is essentially the size of the land, value of the homes. When there's a ratio that's changed so that it's to the value of the land, it's coded as underdeveloped, meaning that there's more density that could occur. This is done at a countywide scale, so it can have errors at individual parcels. I just wanted to show you what this means, and this is from several years ago. So currently today, this would probably, but of course the countywide map doesn't always pick up the individual developments that have occurred in the last few years.
Now, when you say that would show development is what?
Develop just means that it's essentially maximized what's possible on the property. So on each of these, that you have a house on an acre or two, which is consistent with the character of the surrounding area. Obviously, if you had this in downtown Charlotte, it would be underdeveloped because you would tear that one house down and try and put up a skyscraper, for example. But in the country,
Okay, so the shaded gray areas, is that there, all those shaded, those three shaded gray areas, is that what we're talking about?
that is the area, yes, this, with the dark black, with the thick black line around it.
The light green that's around those two areas, what is that the same property owner or different property owner?
It is, all this area, the light green or the gray is developed or underdeveloped, and it's all owned by the Stevens families.
Well, how about the land across the road? There, yeah.
Well, that's shown as underdeveloped because it may have a lot of land compared to the
No,
amount
what
of
I'm
house
asking,
on
do
it.
they own that too?
Oh, you do? Oh, do you own it? I'm sorry. Yep. They own it as well.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Has this ever been approved for the business usage as light industrial?
No.
Or has it just always been RA40?
it's always been zoned to RA40.
So basically, the business is there now, is out of zoning compliance and has been since it was there. Is that what we're looking at?
That's correct.
Okay.
So in terms of environmental features, there is a stream on the eastern edge of the site. Again, with the aerial, you can see the water treatment plant. You have the house, you have a second house, third house, and then you have the cleared area for the septic field installation equipment and storage. In terms of zoning, the whole,
Back up a minute.
yes.
Go across the road where I asked you a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go up that way with your cursor.
To the west,
I don't know, I can't. Be to your right a little bit, right here. Now come back to the left a little bit. There's a house or something right there.
That's my brother's house. That's him.
Okay.
very good. So in terms of zoning, the whole area is zoned RA40, which is obviously 40,000 square foot rural and agricultural uses. Transportation, volumes relatively low, 3,500 vehicles per day. East Lawyers, approximately 1,400 vehicles per day. There is a funded roundabout at Lawyers in New Salem. I don't have a schedule for when it'll be implemented, but it is funded, so in the next few years at most. There are no other funded improvements in the area. In terms of land use plan, this area is all recommended for rural residential, which is consistent with the uses out there, agricultural and large lot residential uses. Some business uses are allowed as agribusiness, others as home-based occupations, more flexibility in rural residential large lots than suburban uses, but not of this scale. In terms of schools and utilities, because this is commercial, school system wasn't consulted. And in terms of utilities, there is water along New Salem Road, and the impacted buildings, part of this overall development that would be impacted would need to connect. Site would utilize septic and would need to connect impacted buildings to permitted septic systems as a part of the conditions. Public feedback, there was a community meeting held a month ago with one attendee. They were concerned about the view of the future buildings on the area on the east side of the site where some storage or a structure could be put in. No changes were made due to the comments, and Monroe and Unionville were not consulted due to the distance to their municipal limits.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you say it on the page, I don't know what page it's in, the planning documents where it says Union County Comprehensive Plan. The Union County 2050 Comprehensive Plan identifies this area as rural residential, and you said there is an industrial area 3.5 miles to the south. What is that 3.5 miles to the south, industrial?
That would be towards US 74 and the Monroe Expressway.
So is there industrial, that is an industrial site?
No, I'm saying that's a recommendation of the land use plan, so if people wanted to rezone, that would be the recommended use.
Okay, the closest employment or industrial area is approximately 3.5 miles to the south near the Monroe Expressway.
That's right.
So it is not,
No, that's just the recommendations on the map.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not an inventory, it's a set
It's
of
just a-
recommendations.
Okay, so there's nothing there now.
There might be, but, I mean, there's still undeveloped land that could be redeveloped, that could be developed as industrial if they were to rezone to that, consistent with the plan. In terms of our report and recommendations, the negatives are that, again, it's identified as rural residential, and this may facilitate future industrial uses in close proximity, inconsistent with the plan, because once you have some set up, it kind of creates a justification for subsequent rezonings. And continued and future industrial use on the property or nearby could result in increased congestion on the roads and streets. Traffic congestion is a noted concern in the plan. The positives is that this is an existing business, so this will provide flexibility for them, bring them into compliance with zoning and allow an existing business to continue, and that they've committed to meeting the conditions in the UDO. But we believe that the negatives outweigh the positives, and so we recommend denial. You are being asked to make a recommendation tonight, and then it would go to the Board of Commissioners in November.
Okay, have they been cited in the past for being out of zoning regulations?
Twice. Once for the storage of materials and the other for the operating of the business.
What, you remember how long ago that's been?
The first one was approximately a year ago, and that was for the materials, and then the one just in the past month or two, in the past month, was for the business itself.
So this rezoning is applying to the,
It's an option for them to bring themselves into compliance with zoning, yes.
Warren, how long has this business been operational?
22 years. 22 years
at this location?
at that location.
We'll have them come up
The,
and. Okay, hold on.
Non-compliant.
Hold on. Are you have anything else? Anybody have any
I
questions?
do not.
Anybody have any questions? For Bjorn at this time?
I do.
For Bjorn?
Warren, if you can go to the site plan, please. The one that showed the,
There we go.
is there any way to expand that?
I think there is.
Good. Let me find what I'm looking for. I could do this at home and expand it.
Yes.
And there's a C note 5, and there's only 4 notes on the drawing.
Where's the note 5 you're referring to? Oh, C note 5. Yeah, I see that, note 5 right there. I don't know what note 5 refers to.
Okay.
That's a good catch.
All right. So, and the other thing is I just question the fact that the property line on this subdivision goes right through the middle of the driveway for the main house.
You're talking about this one right here?
Well, that one and just to the right of that.
These this one isn't necessarily for the business itself. These are for these 2 residential properties.
Yeah, are they not part of the rezoning though?
They are part of the rezoning, but they aren't part of the
Why do they
business.
need to be, I guess? My question.
Because their property lines are moving,
Property lines are moving.
yes.
Okay.
So explain that.
Yeah, I'm confused.
I'm lost on why the residential houses would be rezoned into.
They wouldn't be rezoned, they're just part of the rezoning, so that one of the conditions is that they would have an adjusted property boundary, and if they weren't party to the rezoning, that you wouldn't have the authority to include them as a part of the site plan.
So what areas basically are we looking at, or the property that's going to be rezoned? Is just where that black dark line is around there to the left? of
Well,
your-
none of it is light industrial. So what would become light industrial is this area back here that
Okay,
looks
that's-
kind of like a pork chop.
Thank you. That's where I was getting
Yeah.
confused, because I was thinking we're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about
where it says
rezoning all
proposed,
this, and
where it says proposed LI zoning. So
my
this
big
would
concern
all
was
be
all
light
of a sudden these
industrial.
houses were gonna be gone and buildings are gonna be out front.
Light green or gray, it's all gonna be light industrial.
No, the only one that will be light industrial is the one back here.
And the driveway, basically,
No,
the road.
And then you have new lots here, well, you have reconfigured lots here, and here,
I understand.
that will remain RA 40.
What is the total land mass there owned by the Stevens on both that and both sides of the road?
It's right at 20 acres.
Okay.
Okay, I understand more now what you're saying. So we're having to do it all, but those 3 parcels are gonna be pulled out, and they'll remain R40, and then the LI will be the back part.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Yeah. Anything else for Bjorn?
yeah. The aspects that you're talking about, that the staff recommended denial of this rezoning application, could you kind of clarify that a little bit? 'Cause
I was writing down the note 5 question to make sure I follow up on that. Could you repeat your question?
okay, for staff's comments and recommendations.
Yes.
So because of these aspects of the development, staff recommend denial of the zoning. Could you go into a little bit of detail other than what's said here as why y'all are recommending the denial?
Because the whole area is recommended for rural residential.
Okay,
Generally, your industrial uses are on your freight corridors, which can be NC routes and higher, major intersections, areas where there's maybe railroad access or at least utility access, and this doesn't have any of those things. So it's hard to say yes to this and then no to anything on the other tens of thousands of acres in rural Union County that have a similar situation.
that makes sense.
Yeah, but-
And also, if this was rezoned, what would that do to open up for industrial in this whole area right here?
That was one of the things that we noted, was that it makes it hard to then turn down similar requests nearby in the future.
Okay, if it's denied, what will be their plan, what will have to happen to this area?
There's parallel actions going on. There's the rezoning, which we don't make any reference to the code violations because that's a separate process. And so there's code violations through zoning, building code, environmental health, combination of issues, some of which are worked on right now, others that are still obviously outstanding, such as the use, and they would have to be brought into compliance. Now, I will note, just like what Mr. Stevens said, this has been in existence for 22 years. So the answer is not that it's going to go back to no business. It means that the scale of it would go back to some time in the past In North Carolina, you can go 5, 7 years back, depending on how you identify the violation, whether it can be readily apparent from the street, known to us, et cetera. And that's going to be determined by a process beyond me. And once that's determined, that's the extent of the business that's allowed.
So actually, if it is denied, they could just go back, still keep the business there, but just on a smaller scale?
Yes,
Kind
sir.
of what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I got a couple of questions. Do they make anything? Do they manufacture anything on this property?
You know, the applicants here, I would ask that they answer
Well,
these
I
questions.
need your input on it too, but they're here, can I ask them?
Well, yeah, they're gonna come up in a minute and speak. I'm just asking anybody got, let's dispose of him for now and we'll bring him back.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the site twice. It's a septic installation business, so there could be fabrication of equipment used in that process. I don't know, but it's,
Well, we'll bring
That's
him
what
up
it
to
is.
do that. And then we can bring him back if we need to clarify stuff. Let's let them talk and then we'll.
My biggest concern is if it is approved, then that opens it up for industrial. And if it is denied, then they can still keep their business, but just on a smaller scale. That's kind of what we're looking at.
well, from a land use perspective, yes, there might be other violations
Okay,
relating
okay.
to building code or environmental health, but yes.
Anything else for Bjorn at this time? We can bring him back. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, the folks, Mr. Stevens, I guess, you're here to speak. You are the applicant, so if you could
I
come
am.
up and just share us a few things, and then if you have questions, we have questions, we'll ask.
Well, like I said earlier, we've been in business 22 years. Nobody even knew that we were back there. That's how much noise we make being back there. I mean, we just not known. We've always kept our place clean. We've always done the right thing. In fact, when we found out we were in violation, the first thing I've been doing, and you can talk to the building code inspectors, I've been trying to get everything up to code, what they want. A lot of the stuff that I actually was trying to get up to code, they told me to hold off until after all this was done before I just brought it up to code, just in case y'all denied me, or the next board denied me. So some things I've put on hold just until then, but as far as me, I mean, most of y'all, if y'all rode down New Salem Road, y'all would never even know my business is there. You can't see it from the road. It doesn't bother nobody. 2021, I think, when COVID hit, our business did double just about, and then it's just been growing ever since. So we are growing, and I'm not planning on stopping. So if y'all deny me, then I'll probably actually just I'm not scaling back. I'll move. We'll just move the business somewhere else. I've already got plenty of interest. I'd love to stay where I'm at. I love it out there. It's right behind my house. I can walk outside and see everything I own, and don't have to worry about somebody stealing my stuff or messing with my stuff. But at the same time, I don't plan on going anywhere. So,
Any
I have a
questions?
question.
please.
So the reason you're asking for the rezoning to enlarge it is,
It's not enlarging it. It's the same process. It's everything I've got already laid out right now that we're using. The only thing we will eventually add is an office building, office structure with a warehouse, just to store like product in. So we buy product in bulk, and the reason I do that is because I get a better deal and I can offer a better deal to a customer.
what product are you speaking of?
Well, like chambers for septic systems, or septic tanks, or pipe, or, we have a portable toilet business back there too. He said septic, but we also run a portable toilet business back behind there too. So we have a place to park our trucks. We have toilet paper. We had to buy in bulk, just stuff like that.
Now, the portage, you supply porta johns.
Yes, sir.
Are they, I guess when you see a porta john, you see some that are not taken care of,
Sure,
and the odor that's associated with it sometimes is pretty tough.
sure.
So have you had any complaints around your area with odor?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. In fact, I'd put money on any of y'all going in any of them. We hold a high standard on porta johns. I mean, that's the way I've always been, so.
Okay, so what you're telling us is then you can't scale back.
Yes, sir. That's not in my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm not built like that.
I understand.
So-
The thing that's concerning us is the fact that, yes, if we do, if it is, we can't approve it or deny it. We
Sure,
just make a
sure.
recommendation. But if we do make a recommendation and the county commissioners approve it, then it's gonna open that whole area up there for industrial.
I get it, but
That's our concern.
1,000 foot from my house, there's a water treatment plant. Half a mile from my house, they just built a church that has at least 70, 80 cars on Sunday morning. So I don't understand why my 30 trucks that come in and out of that driveway are gonna be that much more expendable than that. Because, I mean, that's really, the only reason they're zoning it light industrial is because I have so many vehicles. If I scale back on my vehicles, they would drop it to a different kind of rezoning. But because I have so many vehicles, well, when you have all this around you going up, I mean, to me, it's like, what's the difference? You know, I got 30 trucks that come in and out daily. I don't see the difference.
The
you know?
only thing that, when we look at this picture that's on the site, and you look at it, and no disrespect to you.
No, 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 no.
It just looks like a clustered mess. And I think when you start putting that all in together, then that's what's the concern with approving it for what can come in behind that. No disrespect.
No, 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 no,
I'm
no.
self-employed, so I know.
Yeah,
exactly
not,
where you're coming
none
from.
taken.
But it's, when you have to go with the land use plan and what they're actually planning for in the future, then like Mr. Hansel said, it just opens up a lot of stuff that might not be acceptable. And it's hard to say yes to one and say no to another one. And I hope you understand where we're coming from.
I get it, and I mean, y'all have to do your job, and I still gotta do my job. So, I mean, at the same time, I mean, I'm gonna do what's best for us.
Right, I understand.
But at the same.
I commend you for that.
Yeah, well, at the same time, it's just, to me, if you've ever been to my site, it might look like a mess on paper, but it's pretty clean. I mean, it's organized.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but I mean, on paper, I'm sure it does look like a mess from that aerial.
Mr. Stevens, how many employees do you have?
Well, actually, it's probably a total of about 25, 27. And I mean, that's subject to change on a Monday when half of them don't show up. You know, so. I don't know if y'all run into that, but.
Oh, yeah. I understand that.
You said the business basically doubled after COVID.
Yes, sir.
What's your 5-year plan going forward?
Well, the business is kind of, as far as the septic side's never really doubled. The septic side's always, it's maintained. And so that, to me, that I'm fine with maintaining the septics, but the portable toilet side is what I can't get away from. But my plan is to open satellite companies, satellite stations, instead of just having one central station. Eventually, I'm gonna open up a satellite station. Wherever we see the most progress, that's my next step, is like, you know, if we have to go to South Carolina and open up a little spot, or we have to go to the Asheville right now. Asheville's got a lot of need for porta johns and showers and stuff. It just depends on where we see the most growth, so.
All right.
All right, I got a few things.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you manufacture anything on that property?
No, sir.
So basically, you store product to do what you do.
Yes, sir. Park trucks and store.
You've got equipment parked around, you've got stuff you use on a daily basis, and your folks go in and out each day and come back and after they go to their job.
Yes, sir.
So basically, really and truly, I mean, I know it's not a farm, but it's no different than a big farm on the side of the road with their equipment sitting there
That's
with
exactly right.
everything they do their business with.
That's right.
And you've been there 22 years,
Yes, sir.
and God's blessed you with some growth.
Yes, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you.
You said you had 27 employees, residents of Union County?
Probably 70%. I got some that come from South Carolina,
Oh, okay.
and then some live up in Wadesboro. We looked at moving a while back when all this first come to pass, just to make it easier on myself, because I mean, I don't know about y'all, but when you have all this going on, plus you have to worry about this stuff, it makes a lot of gray hairs come up. So, like, to make it easier on myself, we looked at moving, but our central location, like, puts everybody who has to drive a distance, like, we're right in the center of it. So it's kind of hard to decide to move to Wadesboro when you got you guys coming from Charlotte, but they're 20 minutes away, and guys coming from Wadesboro that are 20 minutes away. But I'd probably say 70% of them are Union County.
Yeah. And regarding the other member who was, I think, looking at the environmental features photo, when you said there was a it looked like a mess. I went out there this afternoon, and you can't see that from the road.
Thank you, sir.
All right, any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stevens, here under the public comments, it said there was one person showed up at the public comments.
Yes, sir.
And it states ask about the visibility of proposed future office uses.
Yes,
on this
sir.
home west of the site. That was the only comment that's been received about this at all?
Yes, sir. In fact, I had many calls. Many of my neighbors are elders, and they couldn't make the meeting because of the time. But everyone who didn't come, actually physically, are the ones that got all the paperwork, called and told me that they were in support of what I was doing, not to worry about them, that they would never have to be there. But he was the only guy who showed up. And his property is actually, it's like right beside ours. And he bought a big tract of land. And I get his understanding. I was real sympathetic because he bought this big tract of land, and he's gonna spend a lot of money building a house. Well, at the same time, he don't want to see a big high-rise office structure on top of the hill, because we have a little bit of topography where our office sits on top of the hill, and where I want to build the new office is like directly across from us, and it's sitting up high. And he was worried about from his porch drinking coffee, he was going to be able to see this big office. So at the same time, I assured him, and I mean, I'm not planning on building a big, I'm from Union County myself. I'm not building this big monumentum. I'm just building a little something to give a little bit more room, But that was the only person that showed up. Yes,
That's
sir.
the only opposition you've heard about
Yes, sir.
at all to this deal?
Yes, sir.
And you're not fixing to build a 6-story office
No, sir. No, sir. Not unless I plan on housing my help. So, that might be the only way I can get them to work on Mondays.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Stevens? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Darren,
Yes,
can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
So, I want to reiterate what Mr. Stevens said, that place is tip-top. It's like, you ride through there, you wouldn't know the business.
I didn't know there
existed.
was one. I know it's where it's at. I had no idea.
And they got awesome Christmas and Halloween decorations every year on the highway.
They do, don't they?
I love the Christmas.
All right, anything else anybody needs to ask? Anybody wants to share?
I'm just kind of torn between, I understand Mr. Stevens.
I get it. Listen, I'm here for y'all. Y'all here for me, so I appreciate it.
I'm just torn
I
with
totally
the
understand
land
what you're
use
saying.
program.
I know it, and I think we're weighing that in here and.
Well, the only thing I got to say about the land use program, if any other piece of property around there, they're gonna come through the same procedure as him, and people will make the same decision about that piece of property that they make about this one. And as a matter of fact, the meeting before, the last 2 meetings we've had the same items, basically what somebody wanted come before us, and we voted differently on each one because of what they were. And I'm quite sure the county, or the people of our county, would still do the same thing, even in that area.
Well, I would say this, and I understand where staff's coming from. A lot of time, and some of us on here were a part of the 2050 plan committees, and a lot of time was spent figuring out where we wanted to have certain things in the county and where we didn't want to have certain things in the county. So I totally understand where you are coming from, because clearly this was set aside to be residential, and I clearly understand that. Also, I understand that people have rights to their property, to use it in a reasonable manner, and it's been there for 22 years. And so I have to kind of lean towards supporting property rights at this time, because, again, if it's been there for a year and there was a big problem and nobody, that might be different. But 22 years, it hasn't been a problem. I hate to take away somebody's right to use their property as they so deem to want to use it, as long as it's not causing a problem. And clearly, from what we see here, it's not been the case for 22 years. And that's so.
I agree with the other thing that we talked about is how we.
Yes, and we don't want to run off 27 employees.
I would hate to see half of the roads South Carolina.
We don't need Wadesboro getting it either.
I don't believe
I'm sure Wadesboro would love to have it.
That brings up a good point about the person being able to use his property. He hasn't abused it for 22 years. You can't see it from the road, so he's taken precautions to make everything the best you could possibly make it, under the conditions and circumstances that you have. So that kind of weighs it back over to,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's a good idea, but
I understand. It's a, yeah, but and that's why I had to clarify what all these other parcels were. I didn't wanna, as long as it's back there, nobody sees it, I didn't, you know, as long as they're not gonna build a place out on, you say on the road right there where everybody drives by and sees porta johns, and people like Derek stop and try to use one of them, so we can't have that.
So are we saying the man owns a pretty poop company?
Mr. Stevens, I do have, could you come back up, I do have one question.
Sure.
On the driveway that's gonna be rezoned.
Yes, sir.
That's for to go out to the road.
Yes, sir.
Will there be any kind of signage or anything done that this is back there behind?
No, sir. No, yeah. And actually, they got big time standards on the driveway and stuff like concrete and all it. It'll probably look better than it does now. Everything we got around there is concrete anyway. It's oceans of concrete if you've ever been out there. My dad and mom are here. They actually live right beside me, and they got oceans of concrete. So when I said we own 20 acres, I bet we own 25, or so, because he owns the house next door off of the pad. But
Well, my question was, you're not gonna go out and put a big.
no, sir. I don't like people knowing my business. No, sir.
That was good. That would kind of keep it low key also.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
if he did it, I would've put up a porta john up on a.
Yeah.
Like Balkan services down there at the truck.
Sometimes we have a porta john out front with Santa in it at Christmas time, but that's about it.
Well, you mean you don't have a showroom back there for your septic tanks for people to come
No,
pick them
sir.
out?
No, sir. Now, they can come, they can come pick one out if they want to, but it's up to them, so.
All right, any other questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve this or send approval for this. to the
Okay, I
county
think there's
commissioners.
you know you got to read that thing, or we get in trouble.
We will do that.
You gonna read that first one,
I guess I need to mash this button here.
probably.
But back one page more, back over, there, right there, where they were.
You read the read, if that's what you want to do.
I make a motion to recommend approval of rezoning petition CZ 2024-004 submitted by Christopher Stevens requesting a revision of the Union County zoning map in the Goose Creek Township and adopt the advisory consistency and responsibility, what is that word?
Reasonableness.
Reasonability-ness statement for recommendation of approval.
Can you read that again?
Hey, man, I'm originally from Mount Airy, don't push it.
Is there a second?
I second that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, folks, you will go to the county commissioners with our recommendations.
Thank you for your time.
Now, Terry, when you go to get them grandyoungers around you, it makes you decorate a whole lot more, don't it?
Conditional reason, okay. Planning staff report. Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
All I have
Okay.
is the adoption of the 2025 meeting.
Calendar, yeah, we saw that, and two dates.
Yep, just take note that the 21st is going to be moved to the 28th because the 20th
County
is
commissioner.
MLK, so the board of commissioners will meet on the 21st. And then the
They-
in February, the 17th is President's Day. So the board of commissioners will take our slot on 18th, so we'll move ours to the 25th.
January.
January 28th.
It's the two, it's the top two, right there, it's those two.
Those are the
So we're
hard
doing-
ones because of the holidays.
So they'll just move, that's not a problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're moving on the week.
We don't have to vote on that, do we? Or do we?
Yeah, vote on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. and
Okay,
approve the
okay,
calendar.
so, all right, so we'll have a motion, a motion to approve the 2025 calendar.
Make a motion to approve the 2025.
We got a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any comments? Anybody? Everybody's really quiet. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Doug, was that you that called that move to adjourn? Doug, we made a move to adjourn.
I think